Stop calling it just another Mazda SUV, because if the CX-7 name really comes back in 2026, it's not a small story. It's Mazda reopening a chapter that ended more than a decade ago and aiming it straight at the hottest battleground in the market. And the reason this is blowing up right now is simple. The render you sent looks like a compact SUV with big crossover attitude. Wide stance, sporty diffuser, aggressive body kit, and that premium but mean vibe Mazda has been chasing lately. But here's the honest truth before the hype runs away. Mazda has not officially announced a 2026 Mazda CX-7 production model, and most of what's circulating online is render-driven speculation and YouTube first-look content rather than a Mazda press release. So today's review is the kind of episode car people actually need. We'll break down the design clues, the realistic platform possibilities, where a CX-7 would fit in Mazda's current lineup, and the one powertrain decision that would decide whether this is a legend reborn or just a recycled badge. Let's rewind for context, because the CX-7 name has real meaning. The Mazda CX-7 was a mid-size crossover positioned as a sportier entry in its segment, and Mazda's own historical materials describe it as a sport crossover SUV designed to blend sports car attributes with SUV practicality. According to widely cited model history, the CX-7 was discontinued in 2012 in favor of the CX-5. That matters because the CX-7 wasn't a boring appliance. It was Mazda trying to prove that an SUV could still feel like a driver's car. Now fast forward to 2026 and look at Mazda's lineup today. It's grown up. Mazda has moved into a more premium space with SUVs like the CX-70, which is a two-row mid-size crossover built around a turbocharged inline-six mild hybrid setup. And Mazda is simultaneously preparing a fully redesigned CX-5 for the 2026 model year, with reports indicating a gas engine first and a hybrid coming in 2027. That creates a perfect gap, right between mainstream compact and premium midsize, where a revived CX-7 could make sense as the sporty, style-first crossover that's slightly bigger or more aggressive than a CX-5, but not as large or expensive as a CX-70. Now let's talk about the render you sent, because design always tells the first truth. This green CX-7 render leans hard into a performance aesthetic. Big diffuser, wide rear stance, aggressive lower bumper elements, and a sport luxe vibe that looks closer to a tuner show build than a family grocery getter. Even if it's unofficial, it reflects what people want the CX-7 to be in 2026. A crossover that feels like a hot hatch in SUV form. So if Mazda did build a 2026 CX-7, what would it realistically be built from? There are two believable paths. Path 1, the CX-7 becomes a sporty cousin to the next-gen CX-5. Edmunds reports the third-generation 2026 CX-5 grows in size, launches with a 2.5-liter non-turbo engine, producing 187 horsepower and 185 pound-feet of torque, and comes standard with all-wheel drive. If Mazda uses that new CX-5 foundation, a CX-7 could be the style and performance variant, more aggressive bodywork, sport suspension tuning, more power, and a trim strategy aimed at people who would otherwise shop a Mazda CX-50 Turbo, Toyota RAV4 TRD-style trims, or even entry luxury crossovers. Path 2, the CX-7 becomes a smaller, sleeker version of Mazda's big platform strategy. Mazda's own US model page for the 2026 CX-70 states it uses a 3.3-liter turbocharged inline-six with a 48-volt mild hybrid system with two outputs, 280 horsepower/332 pound-feet on regular fuel, or 340 horsepower/369 pound-feet, Turbo S on premium fuel. Mazda also quotes an EPA estimated 25 miles per gallon combined for the CX-70. If a CX-7 borrowed that architecture, but shrunk it slightly, lowered it, and tuned it for sharper response, you'd get something genuinely unique. An inline-six, rear-biased feeling crossover that could punch above its weight. Now, would Mazda actually do that? It depends on what they want the CX-7 to mean. If CX-7 is supposed to be a mainstream, high-volume compact SUV, the new CX-5 path makes more sense. If CX-7 is supposed to be a premium, halo-ish driver's crossover that sits closer to luxury brand alternatives, the CX-70 path is the spicy option. And then there's the electrification question, the one that decides whether 2026 CX-7 feels modern or already behind. We already know Mazda offers a plug-in hybrid approach in the CX-70 hybrid, and Car and Driver describes a 323 horsepower plug-in hybrid setup with an estimated EV range around 26 miles. If Mazda wants CX-7 to be the comeback story that matters globally, a hybrid or plug-in hybrid option isn't just a nice-to-have, it's the ticket to relevance in 2026. Here's what a perfect 2026 CX-7 lineup could look like, realistically without fantasy numbers. A base model built around a refined 2.5-liter gas engine and all-wheel drive, focusing on value and Mazda's feels like a Mazda driving character. A performance trim with either a turbo option or a higher output hybrid setup to deliver the kind of torque that makes a crossover feel light on its feet. A plug-in hybrid flagship that lets people commute mostly on electricity but still road trip like a normal car. Now let's talk about the interior, because this is where Mazda wins hearts. Mazda has been moving toward minimalist, premium cabins with physical controls where they matter in materials that feel a step above mainstream competitors. That's why a CX-7 comeback is so appealing. It could deliver near-luxury cabin vibes without the near-luxury badge tax. And here's the angle that could make this episode explode in retention. The CX-7 comeback isn't just about one model, it's about Mazda's identity. Mazda is trying to be the brand that builds drivers' cars, even when those cars are SUVs. The CX-7 name literally represents that mission in history because Mazda positioned the original as the sporty crossover with sports car verve. So if Mazda brings the name back and makes it a bland, soft, average crossover, it kills the legend twice. But if Mazda brings it back and commits tight steering, strong mid-range torque, confident AWD tuning, brakes that feel sporty, and styling that actually looks like the render vibe, you've got a segment disruptor. So what should you believe today? Believe that the CX-7 name has history and the comeback idea has logic. Believe that Mazda's real 2026 strategy already includes a more premium two-row SUV, CX-70, with serious mild hybrid inline-six power, and a redesigned CX-5 coming with gas first and a hybrid later. And believe that until Mazda puts out an official press release saying CX-7 is back, everything else is rumor, render, or wishful thinking. Now it's your turn, because the comments section is the test market. If Mazda announced a 2026 CX-7 tomorrow, what do you want it to be? A sporty, affordable CX-5-based coupe SUV, or a premium inline-six mini CX-70 that targets luxury crossovers? Write CX-5 route or CX-70 route in the comments and say which engine you choose, gas, mild hybrid, or plug-in hybrid.